Welcome, everybody. I am your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa. I've got my friend I Am for I Am joining us over posting on the Mighty Layer over at den.social. So make sure you join us there and give all your comments and questions. He's taking us to the dark side. So get your hoodies on, join us, and we'll be right back with I Am for I Am right after this. All right, we're going dark.
We're going dark, Lisa. We're going to the top secret stuff.
Top secret stuff.
There's some links here to a missing airliner, New Jersey drones, and even an explosion in a Cybertruck, all linked together. One story.
You put a lot of these things together. I had seen some of this story, and at first I didn't want to put any energy into this because I felt like it might be a distraction or some fear from the bad guys that I really didn't want to put energy into, trying to scare people like, Trump's getting in and there's going to be all these bad things happen and whatever. Mm-hmm. But then you added some more context around it, and I think it's very interesting. And it's like more truth is being revealed about the evil that has gone on in the past.
Exactly. It's the evil that has gone on in the past and is ongoing. And not that it's justified. Maybe it answers some of it. Why? Answers some of the why, which is still not justified. But it's a crazy path that is all linked together. I will admit that I did not do this link. This is something that I was watching Friday night on a live broadcast by Ashton Forbes. And I just dropped a hint there, but we're going to get into him here in a minute. But and then the Sean Ryan show and about the Cybertruck explosion and the servicemen that may or may not have been inside the truck, and how these things are all linked. Mm-hmm. And it blew my mind. And I went, wow. And it was one of those times my wife and I are sitting in our master bedroom. We got the TV on and we're in our love seat and we're all cuddled up together. And I got my headphones on and I got my phone watching YouTube, podcast. And she's watching, an old rerun of Amazing Race. And I'm watching that sometimes, but I'm like glued to this. So we're together, but not together watching something. But we were together, right?
Oh, I watched the Sean Ryan thing at least twice, and then went back and watched just clips of it because I was putting together all the stuff about, we've called drone bomber for how long? But then to see this come back and that the UN was actually there are articles calling this out, but there was a huge media blackout about what happened with the Afghanistan, and that hundreds of citizens.
Yes.
The United States is responsible for the murder of innocent citizens. It's awful, and I don't think Americans are aware of this.
Mm-mm. I don't think so either. And it's, and I don't make light of this at all in the way I'm, darkened it and made it scary or anything like this. I'm trying to illustrate a point that this is top secret information that is getting linked, and we're getting bits and pieces. And there's different people that are much smarter than I that are being able to link it together.
Mhm.
and gather this information and this information, put it all together, kind of like Cliff High gets different data points off the internet from his scrubbing and puts things together and can project or prognosticate what might or might not happen. Um, uh, and that's essentially what we're going to do. And we're going to go into a deep dive about drones and drone technology and high-tech drones, and linking something that took place 10 years ago, almost 11 years ago, to stories of today, and what has recently taken place, and how it all comes together and ends up at 0 point energy. Some people call it free energy, and brings up a big question.
And are you going to state that question now, or is that your?
No, that's
But
at the end.
okay,
So stay tuned. Here we go. Are we ready? You ready
let's
for this deep
go
into technology?
down the rabbit hole. Yeah.
The rabbit hole. And so I've still got my collared shirt on. So this is still business casual, okay? But I got my, you know, my
Yeah. I'm
my
wearing stretchy pants and I'm
my
barefoot.
hoodie. Yeah. Well, I
Pretty
got
casual
sweats
for
on.
me, but it is a very serious
It was.
topic,
But
and
it is a serious topic.
I'm
So
glad
here
to
we
share
go.
this information.
You ready to share my screen? Let's do
Yes,
this.
let's do this.
Well, so what we have here is we have top secret drone technology that I'm telling you links and answers a lot of things, especially these 3 points: the missing Malaysian airliner, MH370, the New Jersey drones, and then this recent Cybertruck explosion. And what it all links to is drones, drones, drones. It's all about the drones, but not just drones, any drones, but maybe drones that some people would classify as UFOs or UAPs, right? But I believe that the US and now China has technology that is beyond what many of us would ever think we would see in our lifetime. And so we're going to dive into that. Exhibit A is missing flight MH370. It had 239 people on board. That's how many souls were on board. And we don't know what happened. The official story is really still unknown. Some believe that one of the pilots decided to delete himself and took out 238 people with him. The family and many friends, close colleagues of this individual say no, that never would have happened. He had future events planned, and there was no signs that were exhibited of depression or self-harm or willing to harm others. So this official story is still unknown. What happened to this flight? This flight took off on March 8th, 2014. It left Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, International Airport in Malaysia, and was destined for Beijing in China. And 38 minutes into the flight, it kind of goes dark. Its ATC signal, or air traffic control signal, was turned off or went off or whatever. But at that point, there were 5 radar points that could still track it, including Malaysian military. Okay. And then it became only 2 tracking points because this plane took a hard left and then took a right towards the north or something, but it was also losing altitude. These things we do know. What happened to the plane after that, we don't. And a lot of strange events happened afterwards. Now, we searched, and this wasn't a small plane. This was a Boeing 777. Excuse the, we got active. Oh,
All right.
somebody's looking for me. They can't find me, Lisa. So anyway, this large plane, Boeing 777, if it crashed into the ocean, we would think for sure there was, a large
Debris or something. Yeah.
And we have satellite technology that is watching everything and recording everything that's unbelievable in this day and age, including in 2014. And they would have known. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened to this plane? And what debris was found is Very little, to be honest with you. And so we're going to go to this image, and you can see in red of this plane, a Boeing 777, supposedly what parts were found or washed up on different shores. And most of them have part numbers, not serial numbers. And very, very little is linked to Boeing, this particular plane that disappeared off of the radar map. Okay. Down here, you can see my cursor here. See that little red circle here, supposedly where the plane was, and then they blip, it's gone. They don't know what happened to it. You can see the Indian Ocean currents here. If this plane hit the ground here and it was descending, and it appears that there were problems with the aircraft, we're going to go into that. But if we scroll down a little bit further, you can see the currents go a little bit differently. So did the plane come further to the south, and then these parts wash up on Madagascar and Southern Africa? And all of these parts are labeled here on this image of the parts that were confirmed, almost certain, highly likely, or likely to be from this plane. But there's still questions because there's part numbers, not serial numbers. The official story is still unknown what happened. But here's another key point. One of these parts was like an 8-foot piece, and I believe it was this one. It's the right flap track fairing, and it was found in 2015. Okay, well, in 2015, the plane went down in 2014. The barnacles on that particular item would have been at least 12 months old or 18 months old. But the barnacles that were found on it were only 6 months old. Really strange. More questions. So I don't think we can really consider the debris that has been found as any kind of legitimate answer that this plane crashed into the ocean anywhere. Okay. And too little of the plane has been found.
Okay.
And what has been found still not confirmed to be from that particular aircraft. So who are the passengers who are on board, and were they suspicious? Well, there are 2 individuals that were Iranians with fake passports. There was a 50-year-old IBM executive named Philip Wood, and we're going to touch on him in a second. His phone was pinged after the flight was lost days later. More importantly, there were executives, engineers, and scientists, and some of them, most of them, had their family with them, and they were all part of or members of Freescale Semiconductor, a company out of Austin, Texas, that was working on some top secret semiconductor technology. And maybe it's possible that they were going to expatriate themselves from the US and take this technology with them as in theft to China. Was there dangerous cargo on board? Yes, there was. At first, they said no, but Malaysian airline officials later lied, undid their lie and said, we lied. Sorry. Yes, there was. There was 500 pounds of lithium batteries on board. More importantly, these batteries were stowed in the cargo bay close to the critical infrastructure for the electronics. And remember when all those ion batteries with those scooters and stuff were catching fire?
Yes. Yeah.
Like 2012, 2014. And there were a lot of incidents. There's still incidents today on aircraft where these things catch fire.
Well, and I thought you weren't allowed to take certain batteries on airplanes because of the risk of fire.
That is correct. Well, we know for a fact there were 500 pounds of these batteries on this aircraft. We know where they were stowed in the air on this aircraft, creating a bigger problem. So there was a theory that there was a fire on board, it damaged the electronics, and the crew was rapidly trying to descend and find an alternate place to land. And air masks, for your knowledge, and everyone's knowledge, only last about 20 minutes while you're on the plane. So they got to get the plane down quickly so we can breathe again once they get to a high altitude.
Well, and I'm sorry, if there's a fire and they put out air masks are putting out oxygen, which fuels a fire.
Well, true, but the cargo bay, they have things, they have fire suppression devices inside the cargo bay and on the plane,
Okay. To
specifically
separate.
for all types of different fires.
Okay.
And one of the parts that was found was one of these devices that suppresses fire suppression in a cargo plane. But the Malaysian military says, no, it didn't go to this plane. It's nothing to worry about, even though it appears to have come from some kind of Boeing aircraft. But they said, no, it's not. Others thought it was a bomb because the way it looks, it's like a ball and it's got all these tubes coming out of it. But it's a fire suppression device that washed up on shore.
Strange. Okay.
So, and when these lithium batteries catch fire, that's very, very toxic. And by inhaling it, you can die very quickly from those things.
Okay.
So, but we still don't know what happened to all these people on board the plane. So, how do drones come into the story of this missing airliner? Lisa, have you heard of this gentleman, Ashton Forbes, or seen him?
Mm-mm.
He's been on Redacted. He's been on various podcasts, including like Tim Pool,
He's
Danny
that
Jones.
good hacker.
He's not a good hacker. He's an IT official. I think he works in the medical industry, but he's an IT expert. And he has dedicated 10 years of his life because he's always been fascinated with aircraft, crashes for whatever reason. And he's scared to death to fly, but he has to fly for his job many times. But anyway, so he kind of took it upon himself to look into this flight.
Is he only involved in airline stuff though, or is he IT in general, like coding?
No, he's involved in high physics, which like 0-point energy type physics.
Okay,
but
that would be where
he's just a run-of-the-mill like IT person that works for probably a large corporation in the medical industry. And as a side hobby, he has dug into MH370 and what happened. And he has uncovered amazing stuff. He is a brilliant mind, and he has been attacked viciously by many people, and he holds his own. And I've been following this gentleman for probably about a year, and this whole story of MH370, and I was skeptical. I'm going to be honest with you. I was skeptical until the last maybe month or so, and kind of reignited my passion for what happened to MH370 and what Ashton Forbes was talking about. So we're going to go on to this. He says for sure there must have been a fire on board. There was smoke in the plane. The plane was descending to try to bring in oxygen to the crew and to the people on board. And there was people who sighted this plane, like oil platform workers at night. This plane took off like at midnight, 1 a.m. And there was another person who saw this plane with an orange glow underneath it. And that is typical of an ionized type fire from these batteries. Okay. So, but he discovered on Reddit, and on YouTube, someone had posted these 2 videos, and he didn't think much of them at first. He thought that they were fake. And he dug into it, and he started digging more into the physics that would be required for these things to have taken place to basically capture this plane mid-flight in the air. And we're talking about 0-point energy, and we're talking about all kinds of things. And then we're going to go into that. Okay. So there are two videos. One video is from satellite, and satellite video it's called like Whammy, WAS, and I can't remember the other one, but it's taking in all kinds of information, pictures from Google Map, Google Earth, different satellites, pictures from aircraft, pictures from drones, pictures from Navy vessels or other planes or whatever. And it's putting it all together. Like think of the NSA putting this satellite information together. Cross-confirming everything, recording everything, being able to back up, rewind, and see what took place. Like if you're trying to track a car, okay, he turned left on this road, kind of like a helicopter in a car chase. All right. But think of it not just a helicopter, but satellites in the air that are in geocyclical orbit, staying with the Earth as it rotates, and then ones that are wrapping around the Earth, okay, and constantly. And there's once you have numerous data coming in, you can formulate, and on one particular item, it's almost like using AI. I'm sure that's probably what
Or
they were
like an
doing.
MRI of a
Yeah, like an MRI is a great example too.
yeah.
So these orbs or drones circled this plane, and this high-tech footage was released or leaked.
Oh
So we'll
my
call it a whistleblower leak. This is nighttime footage, okay? So it looks like daytime, but it's nighttime footage. And these are cumulus clouds. This is more like smoke because it's black. And you can see the plane like it's this black smoke. Now, cumulus clouds, by the way, your contrails don't work in cumulus clouds. Contrails are at very high altitudes. They're above the cumulus clouds. So you can see these orbs circling this plane in this video. And you can see like different images of the plane and these orbs circling. Here is an example. We would call this, there's a name for it, and I forgive me, I can't remember it now, but we would call it like heat-seeking infrared, right? And this was from a drone that was in the area that was also filming this jet and these orbs around this jet. And you can see in this picture, see the red from the engine? But look at this red at the belly of the plane.
Right.
As if it
Which
were
you
a
would
fire.
expect from a machine propulsion engine, right?
Or a fire.
Or
We don't
fire.
know.
Okay. So that's where they think there's proof of fire.
Right. Plus the smoke and the eyewitness that saw orange underneath this plane that was flying. That was close to Malaysia, this woman. All right. So now let's share. I'm going to try to share a different screen for you so we can watch this take place, these orbs flying around the plane. You ready?
Yes.
Let's see if I can do this. I think I'm going to stop share.
If you need help, let me know.
And start share. And I'm going to pick a different one. This one.
It might work, but yeah.
And I'm not worried about sound. Can you see it? Can you put it up now?
Are you able to? Yeah.
And I'm going to move it large. All right. This is about a minute long. This is what is believed to be MH370. Okay. This is a Boeing 777. That's confirmed. And we're going to watch this thing fly for a minute. And we're going to watch the orbs. You see that?
I didn't see any orbs.
The jet, those are not contrails. Now, this is someone moving it. Did you see his mouse move? Now watch, here comes a drone. Zooming in real quickly.
Yeah.
Probably Mach 2, Mach 4. It starts, it finds the aircraft.
And then another one
joins. The other one come in. See, this is smoke coming from the plane.
Yes.
Another one joins, and this is actually smoke. This is not contrail. We're a cumulus cloud level. This is satellite data that has been parsed together. It's called WHAM or WHAMI, and it's being put it all together. These drones are flying at an unbelievable rate, and it's creating a triangle around the aircraft. And they start to measure the aircraft, and then they start spinning it a different direction to try to do something different.
That's how it turned?
Yes, and they start doing something a little bit different. And then watch what happens. This is going to, oh, and by the way, these clouds, these cumulus clouds, they are changing and evolving. It's proven in the film, in the footage, that these aren't just, this isn't like CGI, okay? And Ashton Forbes makes a great way to describe why it's not CGI. So, you ever seen this, Lisa?
I've never seen this. Mm-mm.
Watch what happens to MH370. The orbs are changing the way they're flying. See how they're changed now?
Mhm. So are they?
It zapped. It literally zapped. It created a wormhole for this plane to go through.
Are they
Now, I
magnets?
didn't believe this either for over a year. Okay. In play here. Now we're going to see it from a different angle. You ready? At the top is Ashton Forbes describing this. At the bottom is a scientist and engineer. He's a naval engineer with a clearance, and he's written several papers on vortex, creating a vortex, all these different things, creating bolt lightning in, and he's a very well published scientist and engineer. And he has to be careful what he says. We're not going to dig into it. But what we're seeing now is this is the wing of a drone. It's a M7, I can't remember, Eagle drone. All right. This is part of the drone fuselage. And it's in the area and it's flying underneath MH370, Malaysian Air. Watch this. This is giving you a different perspective. So it flew underneath the aircraft in trouble. There it is in the distance. It zooms in. They know what's going to happen. It's like they're watching. Here comes the first drone. It's sizing up the plane. It starts circulating, going around the plane. Here's the second, the third. It's spinning. Same aircraft, same clouds, same drones, same clouds in the background. It's like they take control. This scientist knew what was going to happen when he saw it for the first time. There's the fire underneath the belly of the plane. They zoom out like they know what's going to happen. Boom, it's gone.
So is the fire an excuse for why the plane disappeared? Did the fire not really happen?
Yes.
Yes.
No, I think the fire did happen. Ashton is saying the fire did happen. There are scientists that are saying that we have this technology. This is not alien technology. This is not aliens coming in and taking this plane or doing something else with the plane. He's saying that this, remember the Philadelphia experiment? And I was like, see, I was all skeptical on this. Remember the Philadelphia experiment where supposedly soon after World War II, that ship and men were reappeared inside the metal fuselage and this kind of thing?
Yeah.
Well, they were working on this technology way back when. And there's a lot of theoretical physics that are verifying this. And we had scientists, engineers with technology on that plane that was destined to China. And it's quite possible the US knew it was on that plane, and that plane could not make it to China because then China would have this semiconductor information and might be able to re-engineer it or something. This was 10 years ago.
But wouldn't they just delete the plane, not send them through a wormhole?
Yes, you would think, right? But they don't want anything of this plane to show up. Who knows? We're all in speculation mode.
Yes.
We don't know. But we don't know why they did this. But is it possible they did this and got caught because someone, a whistleblower, leaked these two videos? And Ashton found them, and then they've been scrubbed, they've been deleted. Other people, and now Ashton has gone into the physics to verify this. All right, I'm going to stop sharing, and now I'm going to go back to our other presentation. and continue.
Because there is a whole, not to get off topic, but there is a whole conspiracy about the evil ones knowing that they're trapped here on this earth and that they need to be able to leave the planet or time travel to be able to extend their life. And so then the whole Stargate kind of time jumping to extend their life kind of thing. So I didn't know if you were going down that.
No, I'm not going into time travel at all. I'm
Okay.
going into teleporting a physical object, kind of like through a wormhole, not
Yeah.
in time, but from one point to another point.
Well, so a circle,
And it
it's
teleports into that, and then it shows up somewhere
yeah.
else.
If you're in a different, if you change dimensions, a circle in if in 2 dimension, a circle in 3 dimension is a sphere. So if you change the dimension, then traveling from one side here in 2 dimension from one side here to here, if you make it a sphere, it's immediate. It's all the same point.
Yes.
So
However, I'm trying to describe something a little differently.
okay.
Imagine
We'll stay where
the
you are.
US is here, and over here is LA, and over here is New York.
Right.
What we're doing is we're creating a wormhole. And if we were to fly that distance, it would take us about 4 hours on an airplane, right? But if we create a wormhole, we're folding it, and now we're
Yes.
just jumping to New York.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, you're saying the same thing.
If it becomes a sphere, if you change the dimension, then it not when it folds, it becomes a sphere. So you become the next dimension, 3 dimension. So it is the same. It's kind of like quantum entanglement, but it's becomes a sphere. So it's in the same location. It's one point.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not a time thing. It's just jumping from one location to another
location. Yeah.
Right. So let's go back to my presentation here. So we know that they have WASP, WAMI, and WAPS, which wide area airborne surveillance was what the satellite is showing the first video, right? So in the second video, Ashton is with a naval engineer and scientist, Salvatore Paes. So let's go into this Diego Garcia base. So over here is Malaysia. And remember, there's supposedly parts of the plane that are showing up on Madagascar, Africa. But if the plane was in distress and it was up in this area and hit the ocean, the parts should have been showing up in India and Sri Lanka, not Africa. And they would have shown up very quickly. Or they would have shown up on the Malaysian coastline over here, or even the Australian coastline over here. But Diego Garcia is an island base that the US and the Brits have. It's in the middle of nowhere. And we actually took people from Afghanistan and by the CIA and interrogated them on Diego Garcia. We also have B-52s on this little tiny island.
Surprised by that, but yeah.
Here's what the island looks like. Over here is this Air Force base. Here's a little bit closer picture. Here's the runway. And here's Philip Wood, the IBM executive. He actually sent a message on his phone because he was kind of an IT person, and he sent a message, but he said he's disoriented. He doesn't know where he's at, but he knows he's on some kind of military base, probably American military base, something to that effect. And his phone pinged after he was on this plane. His phone pinged from this base, Diego Garcia base. His phone pinged from this building right here. So this isn't BS. This is out there. There are family members from the Malaysian airplane that said they would call their loved ones. The phone would ring several times and then go to voicemail. If a phone is dead, it won't ring several times. It goes straight to voicemail. So a lot of questions here. So we're the next two halves are going to go quick. Next two thirds are going to go quick. Now we're on to New Jersey drones. Remember, law enforcement talked about their drones, that they were flying their drones to the other drones, and they were being jammed. Signals were being jammed. They were seeing a move at high rates of speed that they couldn't explain. There's been naval pilots, Air Force pilots that see drones that move at unbelievable. We've heard of the Tic Tac video where the things go in and out of the ocean. They're flying at unbelievable speeds. They're flying at basically what we just witnessed with that airline. Okay. Yeah. And is it possible that this has been a drill or readiness test? Is it possible they wanted to see how we would respond, how the American public would respond? And it's on a need-to-know basis. So these Air Force pilots, Navy pilots, they're on a need-to-know basis, and they don't know that we have this technology. We only assume or think that they're UAPs or UFOs because we can't explain it. They're moving too fast. They don't know that we have this technology. I don't know. It's possible. So is it possible that all these drones, some of them were just aircraft that were misidentified? Some people were getting heightened, worried, and are there aliens coming to invade us and feeding off of one another, fear-mongering? Others were flying drones, private drones, to create more fear. All kinds of things were happening with these New Jersey drones, right? But it was not just New Jersey, it was the whole East Coast that was having a lot of these sightings and questionable sightings of drones. So, drones, and the fear. So now we move into the Trump Hotel Cybertruck explosion instrument.
Also, don't forget that Elon's brother has one of the largest drone companies that was used for synchronized drone companies.
Right. We see that. Mm-hmm. And there was a recent accident where a little child was severely injured from one, where they crashed into each other and went off and crashed into the crowd. Mm-hmm. Sad. So anyway, enter section number 3 of our video here. The incident that took place on January 1st, maybe a terroristic plot or something, but we supposedly know who was in this vehicle at the time. It's a tragic fortunately not anyone else was killed other than the occupant supposedly in the vehicle. That occupant being this individual who is former military, 18 years.
Supposedly.
Right. 18 years of service, dedicated service, high clearance, high tech, top secret clearance, involved in drones, and knows things that were sworn to secrecy, but disgusted by in his manifesto. And I posted his entire manifesto on DIN so it could be preserved. This individual supposedly shot himself in the head with a .50 caliber Desert Eagle. This fire rages, but miraculously, his ID is still there.
That seems to be a common theme, though. When planes fall from the sky, Pennsylvania, or towers fall, just the IDs magically.
There's a lot of questions here. And then we talk about the Sean Ryan show and, of course, his manifesto. This gentleman was an amazing person, and he served his country with valor and distinction. Mm-hmm. But then the Sean Ryan show comes up because he's got a story to tell. He's got something that he feels guilty for, and he wants to get this information out. And he's desperately trying to get a hold of someone that could get him on a show such as the Sean Ryan show and this other gentleman pictured here, Sam Shoemate. Mm-hmm. And this is the video or the show, the podcast that you watched several times, Lisa, and I watched too. Mm-hmm. And the email that he posted was huge. That he sent these gentlemen. and they had to do an kind of an emergency quick show on this. And there's been now pushback, like, well, I think you jumped a gun on this, Sean. You exposed this guy, and he was having issues and difficult times, but his signal message was changed. Did the government do that, or did he do it?
Yeah, let's you kind of cut out there. His signal safety number was changed after the time of his death.
Right.
And that's like his contact or his phone. So how would that happen unless, or was he signaling to people that he had contacted through Signal, hey, I'm really okay?
Right.
Which I would like to think that that is the case.
I would like to think that too. And we're talking about someone who's in hiding because he's a whistleblower of war crimes that took place in Afghanistan that the UN was investigating and was then hushed by maybe our State Department, the CIA, or whatever. And he feels guilty for.
And if you think about how he did this, they were mostly fireworks inside a Tesla, which has been proven to be bulletproof.
Right.
So he rolled a self-driving vehicle up to the Trump Tower, which would get a bunch of attention.
Bingo.
And then the body inside's DNA does not match his child's DNA.
Bingo. Right.
And then lit off a bunch of fireworks inside.
And he's an expert in demolition.
And he's an expert in demolition and drones. So who could have possibly drove the self-driving Tesla there?
A lot of questions.
There's a lot of questions there. There's so
now we go to his email, which I have it here. And there's a section where he says, it's the third paragraph. What we have been seeing with drones is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China in the East Coast, but throughout history, the US. Only we and China have this capability. Our Operations Center location for this activity in the box below. And he says China has been launching them from the Atlantic with submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it is just a show of force, and they're using it in a similar way to show how they used the balloon for sight and ISR, basically reconnaissance, which also is part of the integrated comm system. There are dozens of those balloons in the air at any given time. And then he says, this will give you chills. The so what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned AC or aircraft. They are most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed, just like the drones we saw in the video I was showing you all. They basically have an unlimited payload and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate.
The other part that's really scary is if this is merged with, they were saying there's these new word that we can't say here that rhymes with and that can't be detected through things that the TSA uses at the airport and stuff because of the materials that they're made of, and that people that would strap them to their body and go in locations and whatever, well, they could also put them on these drones and they couldn't be identified or whatever because of these new materials that have been created. So they could be like invisible almost.
Right.
So there's an exponential, not to scare the heck out of everybody, but there's
and that's not the point there either.
Yeah, threat. Yeah, no, but there's an exponential threat here. And I think the point that he was trying to it's my understanding that the point he's trying to do is that this is, he's trying to bring attention to what was happening in 2019, that
Mhm.
that we're that we are funding it ourselves, that the United States was involved in,
War
war
crime.
crimes
Right.
basically against citizens, and this needs to be known, and that it was covered up and it's continued to happen, and now we're facing those own things because we've been funding the um the technology of this, and now it's being turned against us ourselves.
Right. What caught me after, having watched Ashton Forbes for a year now, and then when he said gravitic propulsion
Yeah.
systems and he's mentioning drones, that's where I was linking it, you
Mm.
know? And then the New Jersey drones, he mentions it here as well. But you're right, Lisa. It was in Afghanistan 2019 that, you know, the State Department, the DOD, DEA, and the CIA, they all knew that what was going on there. And the UN was investigating, it was suppressed.
Yeah.
So,
This is not to scare anybody, it's just to
right,
say this is more of, like, telling the truth, getting this is where we've all been so behind on what has been happening in the past and what happened in the past, but we all have to be brought up to speed on what, our government has done behind the scenes, and
right,
what needs to be held accountable for.
right. And he's mentioning that he's being followed and tracked by FBI and CIA assets. That's why I think maybe he rented a Cybertruck because it's essentially bulletproof to give him protection. That's why he put a V bed in it, which is an kind of IED inside his bed of his truck, for protection, or to draw attention to what was going to happen.
Mm.
Because he talked about he conducted strikes on over 125 buildings where innocent women and children, civilians, were killed.
I can't
Um,
imagine the guilt. Yeah.
yeah, and this propulsional system is, what does that mean? Well, is that what we just witnessed on those videos of MH370? And how does it work? And is it scary? What is zero point energy? Well, it it's also talked about as free point energy, and it's using quantum physics. There's a lot of um, information about it, that's out there in the classical physics world, the theoretical physics world. There's a battle
Mhm.
inside the physics world, and forget like to Greason or whatever his name is, the very famous physics, the person that's always on the mainstream media. Um, um, but there is inside that world, there's a lot of pushback and arguments that we just don't have that technology yet. But if we had that technology, it would be certainly funded through the military, and it would be kept hidden. It would be kept suppressed so that um, our adversaries wouldn't develop it, or they'd want to keep it. They would do whatever means possible to keep it secret, because they could park. Essentially, we're not talking about a nuclear, Lisa. We're talking about something even larger. The tea in this cup is enough to destroy the world, essentially.
Mhm.
So free energy is the point I'm trying to make here, is that these propulsional systems, to be able to move something as fast as it could, open up portals like we saw in that video that was leaked or whatever. And Ashton Forbes believes he knows who the leaker was, and he went to prison. He was a military officer, and he went to prison for 10 years. Um, and they didn't want it to go to court because it would be leaked.
Through disclosure.
Right.
Mhm.
And so we're talking about limitless amount of energy, in the ether. And like I said, this cup of tea or water is like a limitless amount of energy that could be used for good or for bad. And here comes the bottom point. So why is it scary? Is because free energy isn't free. It means in the wrong hands, it has total destructive power, far more than nukes could ever, or mutually destroy assured destruction. So I'm not trying to be scary. Basically, what Ashton Forbes is saying is this conspiracy of the missing flight, and now what this gentleman has posted an email that's out there for the world to see now, and what we're talking about in this video, in this live stream, is that this conspiracy is bigger than the JFK assassination. It's bigger than the Fed, the Federal Reserve. It's basically just that free energy isn't free, because in the wrong hands, it could be used with immense power for destruction to end this planet. And that's why kind of like going dark. It's bigger than UFOs. I could care less about aliens right now. I could care less about UFOs if this technology really exists.
I have to agree with you. I do believe it exists. And I think this is where, like Stephen Greer was saying, this is where he kept that it's been created multiple times, but people got greedy. And they wanted to capitalize it just like it was a normal, project, like anything else, and did the my precious thing and get rich off of it. Well, if we have 0 point technology, we don't need money, and but the human ego couldn't get past it. And so until we can get rid of our like human meat suit ego thing, like humanity has to ascend enough to earn to be able to handle 0 point technology, and we all have to love each other enough and be able to be responsible enough to have the gift of 0 point technology, or we will destroy each other with it.
Right.
Like the evil will take over,
Correct.
I hope we're here. I hope we're at a place where it wouldn't fall in the wrong hands, and that we could have a beautiful world. So we shall see. We shall see.
Crazy story. Crazy link.
Amazing stuff. Thank you for looking into all that and bringing that all together. And you guys check that out over at the Mighty Lair. We have, let's see, I've got that up right here. You can join and post your comments. You can join with any email. It's free, and let us know what you think about it. Share your thoughts and any links that you have to put more information. And
I posted his entire manifesto in there as well.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Well, we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Appreciate you all. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yep. And Heidi, I'm a huge fan. Thank you for jumping in and watching tonight. Take care.